I accomplished the top 15. When I came off the track, I had my daughter placed into my hands, and I just couldn't help but have tears, just so many happy tears, because it was so rewarding. You can continue on. Life doesn't stop when you have kids. I think that's when it should really keep going more than anything. I want to get girls together. There's so much to even getting out on the track that's very nerve-wracking when the pros are out there, or there's intermediate riders and you show up for practice day. It's just helpful to know those foundations. You feel more confident on the bike.
Yeah.
It makes you go, I want to do what she's doing. Stay connected in the sport. Don't stay too far from that moto family, because those are people that you'll carry through your whole life. There is people to help you. Reach out a little bit. Just give it a go. Get out there and try.
Today we have a special guest, a motocross racer coming from Kamloops, BC. She is not only a competitor on the track, but also a very dedicated mother. And join us as we dive into her journey of navigating motherhood while mastering the art of collaboration off the track. Plus, hear about some of her coaching clinics that are happening in BC. Get ready for an inspiring conversation filled with so much insight, so much value, challenges, and triumphs. And I'll catch you on the other side. All right. Well, hey, hi, and hello. I'm Angelisa here, your host for Brat Babes Throttle Talk. And today I am so excited to be sitting down with Danielle Pettis. Did I say that right? Pettis.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. So today we're going to talk about Danielle's motocross journey, what life is like with motherhood, and we're going to dive into some more about Danielle's motocross clinics. And I'm so excited. There's a lot to unpack. So welcome, Danielle, and thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's start this off with an introduction. Tell me who you are and where you're coming from.
I'm Danielle Pettis, and I live in Kamloops, BC. I grew up in Prince George, and I ended up moving to Kamloops in my early 20s because the moto season starts a little sooner than being a little more northern, and it was a place we always came to go skiing in the winter or snowboarding. And basically, I moved here, and then I got into dental hygiene school in Vancouver Island. So I moved there for quite a few years and did the racing circuit on the island. It was nice and small. I got to try a few different tracks around there. And then eventually I came back to Kamloops to be closer to my family in Prince George.
Okay. So Prince George, this is actually one of my questions. Let's maybe move on to that. Let's talk about your how did you get into motocross?
Well, growing up in PG, we were very outdoorsy. We hunt and fish and have a cabin at a lake, and naturally we got into dirt biking. Started off with my brother getting a little Honda 50 when he was about 5. So we originally started off with horses and jet boating and camping and fishing, and then we transitioned into starting with dirt bikes, and we kind of eventually took off with that. My brother started really taking a liking to it, so my dad went and bought a 2005 Honda 250F, and he had the intent of riding it with my brother, Jess Pettis, but he didn't ride it a whole lot. So with our whole family, we would travel and start going to the races with Jess, and everyone kept saying, hey, you and your sister Caitlin should get on the bikes and try it too. You come to all the rounds and you're here. And it took a little while for us to go to the rounds and kind of get a feel of the dirt biking. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. And I ended up loving it. And my first race, I remember being in a battle all the way to the finish and making an inside pass right before the finish line. And I won my first moto. And I think I was hooked ever since then. I couldn't look back.
Oh, amazing. How old were you?
I was about 15. So, 15. Yeah, I started racing when I was 15. I originally got my first dirt bike when I was probably about 12. So okay. I started off with kind of more of an enduro style bike. I had signals and the headlights and double foot pegs, and I just cruised around on that. And then I transitioned into a Honda 150 trail bike, and that was really fun to kind of get the feel of the dirt bike and more so trail riding. And then once I started trying to ride that on the track, it wasn't compatible. It just didn't have the suspension. So that's when I started riding the '05 250F, and that was more of a race style bike and meant for jumping. And that's kind of where it took off for me.
So, okay, let's go back. So was it basically your family that got you into the sport then?
Yeah, my dad grew up ice racing in Prince George, and I think originally my grandpa also did a little bit of maybe ice racing and dirt biking. And so my dad kind of started off with his dirt bikes and his friends when he was a kid. He grew up maybe 10 kilometers down the road from where my dad built us a log house and we grew up. So he just was in the same territory and thought, I had dirt bikes growing up. I want to get the kids into it. And my mom also would ride a little bit with my dad. And when I was maybe 1 or 2 years old, I was in a backpack going through the mountains and on my dad's back while he was dirt biking over creeks. And so maybe that's kind of what sparked just, my dad integrating the family, and we all basically got into it once we were at an age where we could start liking it and enjoying it.
Amazing. Oh my God. I absolutely love that story. And I love that you're in the backpack along for the journey. Oh, that's cool. So awesome. And you said ice racing. What is that?
So they would put studs on their tires and they would go out to a local lake and they would basically do oval racing. So they would just race around on the lake with the spikes on the tires. And that's maybe where dirt biking kind of started originating from anyways.
Right.
Before full on moto. So it's kind of a cool way to get into the dirt biking sport.
Absolutely. And I had a feeling it would be with the studs, but just in case for other people listening in. Okay, so they would put the studs on the tires, and I guess it would be kind of like a flat track, like in a way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be a flat track. Yeah. I think there is categories where you could just go with bare rubber, and then there's a category where you can have the spikes. So it could be either or.
Whew. Without spikes, that's kind of scary. Real cool. I find that, all super interesting. Have you ever done that?
I never have. Okay. I would love to have the opportunity. I know friends growing up used to put spikes in their tires and they would ride around all winter long. And I've tried it. I've never raced ice racing, but just even having the traction on the tires is a pretty cool feeling through the snow.
For sure. I think it would be a lot of fun. Just, if we have the snow, we might as well try something new. I don't know. But real cool. Oh, that's so awesome. Well, I love hearing about the history, how you got into it. So you've been racing for a while. Okay. I know this question, but does anyone else in your family race?
My brother, Jess Pettis, races professionally. So he's a KTM Red Bull athlete, and he's been doing very well with his racing. He's a 2-time 250 champ in Canada and working on his 450 championship. And he's raced Supercross in the past, and I'm sure would love to continue if he has another opportunity. And he's always training down south in different states. And he's the main racer in our family. And then I kind of followed suit. And we have a sister as well, Caitlin, and she lives in Alabama. She doesn't race, but she did ride a little bit when we were growing up, and she ended up marrying another professional racer down in America. So it's in the family.
Wow, that's so cool. And how amazing is it that you all, again, got to do this together, and it really carried you guys through life, really, And
it has.
And would you say that your brother is one of your biggest inspirations? Maybe
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very admirable on and off the track. I would say we've had a very great relationship in the years growing up, and I'm 6 years older, so I've always been maybe the older sister that has been maybe kind of protective and but we relate a lot. We're very similar. We're very similar minded, and that's really helped our relationship grow and just be on the same page when it comes to dirt bikes and racing and understanding the whole aspect of it. It's a special way of life. And I think if you have that internal desire inside you, then it never goes away, no matter how many injuries or whatever obstacles come at you. You just want to get back on your bike and keep getting better and striving for more. And I think that applies to many different avenues in your life. So there's a lot to learn from riding and racing and pushing yourself to your limits.
Yeah, absolutely. And how cool is it that you have, like your brother, your sister, but specifically your brother, that you can come together to talk about these things, or like if there's an obstacle in your way, you at least have somebody that's like been there, done that, or, you can help each other work through things. Do you find you have that with him?
Definitely. Yeah. We have a very close relationship. We don't necessarily talk every day type of thing, but we can pick up where we left off, give each other a call, whether it's a dirt bike related scenario in life or something completely different relationship wise, or, whatever is happening in life. We've always been there for each other and can definitely relate with the similar outlook and just getting through the challenges. And it's a very special relationship. I'm very happy about it.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I love hearing the family aspect, because I think it is so important, and having siblings, kind of do the same thing, or even if it's a little bit different, at least you have somebody to like be inspired by, because they're there every single day. They're always like either working on themselves, and then inspires you. I only say that from my personal experience, because I have two brothers. One of them used to be a professional wakeboarder. And even though at the time I was a snowboarder, we always had that connection where it's like, I see him doing well. Of course I want to do well in my sport. And so we were always like collaborating or coming up with ideas. And
main support system. Yeah. It's super nice to have.
Absolutely. So would you say, we're going to talk about motherhood in a bit, but would you say that your little girl, is this something that you want for her? Like as far as like dirt biking? Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah. I think it teaches you so many different things in life, and just growing up in the sport, we've made so many amazing connections with people all over the world, really, that come to race and ride, and you're outside, you're camping, you're in the elements, you're really testing yourself in so many different ways. And I think it makes you a stronger person, and it makes you fight for things. And I think that's super powerful, and I love what you can take away from riding and racing. And I think even having a daughter pushing into the women's sports, it's come a long ways, and it's really opening up. And I'm comparing to when I first started racing around 15 years old, there was maybe 3 or 4 girls on the line. Now I go to the races and there's almost full gates. It's amazing. So I would love that for her to just get a taste of competitiveness and building those relationships at the track and being supportive of your teammates. When the gate drops, you're competitors, but when the race is over, you're still congratulating each other and supporting each other. I think that's something that I would love for her to take away, and hopefully she loves it. If she just wants to watch, that's okay too. It kind of is what it is. I don't want to push too much, but the bikes are there. She's got the Stasics, she's got the Striders.
Okay.
I'd like to get her into Thursday night BMX racing here and see if maybe she has a little passion for the racing on weeknights, and kind of go from there.
Oh, I love that. I was actually going to ask if she has any bikes. So repeat what she has again.
She's got a 12-inch Stasic bike that she's just getting the hang of the throttle now and her balance. She's got the little Strider bike as well, and then eventually she'll grow into the 16-inch Stasic that we have sitting. That's the KTM edition as well. So.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I love hearing all of that. Well, speaking of dirt bikes, I want to get into your dirt bike setup. So can you tell us, what did you start off with? I think you mentioned it before, but tell us your very first dirt bike and then what you're riding now.
So my very first dirt bike was a 200 XL Honda not sure the age of it. Maybe it was like an early 90s bike, maybe even the late 80s. So I started off with that. I had it for a short period, and now I've gone through quite a few different dirt bikes. I started out with Hondas. I moved into Cowies. I moved into Yamaha, and now I'm riding KTM 350 SXF. Okay. So this is my first year on the KTM, and I'm very happy about it. Nice. I think I've kind of transitioned to Team Orange, just following Jess's footsteps a little there, and try the bike out, and I'm very pleased.
Oh, awesome. That's so great. And I want to talk about modifications with your dirt bike. Have you done any?
Honestly, I haven't ever really done much for mods to my bikes. I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit because for a lot of girls getting into the sport, it might be nice for them to even hear that I never really have had to do much to the bikes. I've never added much for modifications. The only thing I've ever added is an exhaust system, and honestly, that's not even super necessary.
Right.
It's a very expensive sport to begin with and to get into. So in my honest opinion, the bikes straight stock are very amazing machines. Mm-hmm. So I've never had to add much to it. I think if you're ever to add any kind of modification, suspension would be my number one choice, which I haven't branched into that, but I'm looking into that for my next step, just to help you absorb the bumps and the jumps and, you know, maybe less fatigue and help us as lady riders that tend to be a little smaller and maybe not as strong as men throwing around these 230-pound machines.
Right. Yeah, you make a great point. And I think, you know, going to, because I do a little bit of track, and I noticed that a lot of the girls, and I think, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. When I started, you know, I wanted little bikes. I want to be able to touch the ground. Same with my enduro bike. Like, I want to be able to touch the ground, or like if I'm ever tipping over, at least I can catch myself. But when it comes to like motocross, you don't really need that. Like, you're never putting your foot down. You don't really need to necessarily catch yourself. So it's not like you need to drop your bike or anything, right? Like, and so a lot of the women that I ride with at the track, they're literally like riding these big bikes that are really tall, and they just like come, they ride up, they find, you know, their stand, and they get off that way. And I've always been so amazed and so inspired by these women that are just as, you know, small as I am. And I'm just like, wow, you're riding such a big bike. Like, look at you. You're such a boss on it, you know? So I definitely see that not a lot of people do modifications other than suspension. I have heard suspension set up.
Yeah, and I think if you were to do some kind of changes, what most lady riders would do is maybe cut their seat so they could reach a little easier. Yeah. It is nice to be able to touch the ground, even if you're on your tippy toes.
Yeah.
Once you put all your gear on, your boots on, your suspension should also be set up for you. Like, even if you're just adjusting your shock or putting a softer spring in, that can help a lot to sag the bike down a little bit so that you feel more comfortable getting on it. Especially when we had kick starts, because that was more challenging to start your bike, right? You tip over in a moto, it's very hard, if you can't reach, to be kicking your bike back over.
Yes.
So we have the luxury now of having the option of electric start, which has been a game changer for me. This is my second year now with an electric start bike ever, and I don't miss the kickstart.
Oh my God.
I really don't. It's not a huge deal breaker, but it's definitely very nice for saving time. If you're to stall or go down in a corner, you just fire your bike back up and get going. You lose way less time than if you're trying to find neutral and kick your bike back over, and especially if you're a shorter rider.
Oh, you're so right. I keep forgetting that, yes, there is a possibility of falling on a corner or like on the track. So and then kickstarting, oh my God, like that's a whole other thing. And then and then I don't, like, for me, my hips, like I just tried to kickstart a bike, and I like, my hips are not happy with it. And so, yes, the luxury of an like electric start is such a game changer.
It's huge.
Yeah. Absolutely. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I think that is going to be very helpful for women who are looking into motocross, that you don't have to spend the extra bells and whistles really to, you know, get into the sport, you know, maybe making the adjustments with the suspension or shaving down the seat, but really don't need to do too much. So Yeah, that's great. And I'm just curious, what type of gear do you ride in? Like, are you wearing knee braces, neck braces, chest protector, all of the things, all the gadgets?
Well, currently I'm wearing mountain bike knee pads, actually, just Troy Lee knee pads that have support on the sides of them and a hard shell along the knee. I haven't spent a whole lot of money on knee braces per se. That being said, I have injured my left knee in the past last year. So now I'm kind of going down that road where maybe I should have started off with higher end knee braces. That's probably investment that you would want to make into gear is knee protection, because that is one of the very common injuries that occur, and it can be a lifelong injury that haunts you. So, I'm going down that road where I'm looking into medical knee braces, and yes, they're expensive, but it allows you to hopefully have injury prevention and be able to ride your bike better and longer. But yeah, right now I just have Troy Lee mountain bike knee pads. So, I mean, even if you just start off with something like that, it is still better than nothing. When I very first started racing, I wasn't wearing knee protection at all, and that's very scary. The foot pegs are very sharp, and they can cut you easily. And there's, aside from having ligament damage, you can still have damage just from your bike. So I think if you have any kind of protection at a minimum, I would start with knee pads that, you can get from mountain bike shops or dirt bike shops. As for the rest of my gear, I just wear Alpinestars Tech 7 boots. They have women's sizes, which are really nice. There's so many different boots you could try. I've had Tech 10s. I do believe that they helped prevent more of a leg break when I broke my right fibula. I feel like those Tech 10s really saved me because they have the internal boot inside them. So I think anywhere from a Tech 7 to a Tech 10 is a very high quality boot that you could be running that's going to help protect even lower leg injuries that are also very common, ankle breaks and leg breaks.
Okay.
So those are the boots that I'm running currently. And as for gear, I've just got a really nice hookup with Fly. So they've just sent me some new gear I'm very excited to try out, and I'm really loving their gear. So that's my gear set is Fly.
Okay.
And sometimes I wear a chest protector. Honestly, I'm a little selective of when I do wear it. It's never a bad idea, because even if you crash, it can help with the impact.
Right.
Certain tracks, I'm more prone to be wearing one because of the roost. You can get blasted with rocks, and I'm full of bruises. It's sure nice to have a little bit of extra protection sometimes. Some people wear them on the outside of the jersey. Some people wear them underneath my jersey. I tend to wear it underneath just for look appeal more than anything, I guess,
right.
and keep it nice and clean. And that's basically it for gear. I've got my Troy Lee helmet that I wear. I've spent anywhere between $300 or $400 all the way up to $1,000 on a helmet. I think you could definitely make an investment in having a good helmet with MIPS in it. That's definitely where I would put my money, is into boots, knee protection, and a helmet.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I think that's all great tips. And I was actually going to ask about the chest protector. I just feel like it's not talked about a lot. Yeah. Do you wear it outside of your jersey, or is it in the inside? But I guess it's just for style points, right?
Yeah, it sort of started becoming more of a fashion trend to wear it on the outside with the Yamaha Star Racing team. If you watch any U.S. national rounds, they started wearing it on the outside, just trending, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny with chest protectors too. It's been a hate-love relationship for me, because I've tried men's protectors and they just don't fit properly for women, depending on how chesty you are, per se. Yeah. But there is women-specific ones. Thor makes one that I've ran for a while. But there's multiple different other brands out there, and I do encourage getting a women-specific one just for comfort and less chafing. And that's why I tend to wear it underneath my jersey too, is it's just kind of forming more to your body, and then you put your jersey over top.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I find I have a chest protector, but it sits so high on me. And like I didn't know I needed a smaller size, but when I ordered it online, I had no idea, that it was going to be. Anyway, so yeah, I'm kind of the same with the chest protectors. They're like, I want to wear them, but if they're not comfortable and I just feel like I have a lot already around my neck, and if they're like bunched up, it's uncomfortable. So
yeah. I've had the Atlas brace before too, the Atlas neck brace. So I think there's multiple viewpoints on whether they're beneficial or not. I know sometimes when you wear the neck brace, depending on how you fall, you potentially could break your clavicle. But that's kind of the trade-off maybe, is you end up breaking your collarbone versus breaking your neck. So it's, I'm not entirely sure 100% whether you should be wearing one or not. I've heard mixed reviews on them. So I do have a beautiful Atlas brace, and I don't wear it as often as maybe I should or I would like to, just for kind of the same reason you just mentioned. It feels like you're putting a lot of gear on. You're normally riding when it's 30 degrees, and it's like safety versus comfort, I guess. You need to be able to maneuver your bike well in order to be safe as well. So sometimes it can be a little bit suffocating depending on what you're adding in. And then your neck brace also needs to fit into your chest protector properly too. So that's kind of a combo that you need to make sure is going to fit together, where the neck brace is going, the fins on the back are going in behind and snugging into the sides and the top straps of your chest protector.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about. Yeah, so, and then also you got to make sure, I'm not sure if this is how you feel, but the helmet needs to also fit with the neck brace. So all of it, if you're going to get all three, make sure that they all fit together.
It's a combo deal.
Yeah,
yeah, you need to be able to look around and have movability in your body and where you're looking, because if you can't move properly, then you're not going to be able to ride your bike properly either. So it's a lot of puzzle pieces that go together, and I find for myself, I like to feel a little more free and movable, so then I end up just putting the chest protector on for specific races that the track is really rocky, or I'm going to get a lot of shrapnel coming at me. I tend to put it on for that purpose rather than protection if I were to crash. So it's kind of maybe depends on which track I'm riding for what I wear for protection.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I feel like, that's something that I haven't really talked about is the gear. So that's a really great insight. I love hearing what your thoughts are. So we're going to kind of shift gears here, and we're going to talk about racing and motherhood. As you mentioned, you do have a daughter. And how old is she?
Savannah is 2.5.
2.5.
So, yeah, she's 2.5. And it's been an amazing journey, I guess you should say. It really teaches you so much about who you are as a person. Through my 20s, I was racing and getting my education and really focusing on setting myself up for my future into my 30s, knowing that I want to still be riding and racing and eventually have a family, but also have a career and be able to balance all of these things because it is a lot. And I am just so happy with the way things have gone. And I ended up having her when I was 30 years old. So it was kind of a perfect time for me to start motherhood, because I've already set the groundwork with my racing and I got my career, have a home, all the things before starting motherhood. So I could really, put my best foot forward and try to do my best job. Of course, it's not an easy job, but I wanted to make sure that I had all of my things figured out before I had brought someone else into this world and try to teach them all the things that I know and learn from my mistakes and all these things. But yeah, it's been an awesome couple of years of my life. I'm very happy to have her, and I really want to set the example for her more than anything. I think that's what's inspiring me now and pushing me forward is at 5 months old, she was still coming to the races with us, and we were starting our next season, and I was still breastfeeding in between motos, and there's so much that goes into it, but it's so rewarding because no matter how many things you have stacking up, you can still make it happen and try your best, and just being out there is super amazing to have your little kid looking up to you and, you know, cheering for you on the side of the track. It's a pretty cool feeling.
Wow. Yes. Having your mini me with you, like, oh, that's so, okay. So you said 5 months you were at the track. Were you like full on, like back in racing or just riding? Tell me a little bit more.
I was full on racing.
Oh
so I set the bar pretty high for myself. I decided I wasn't going to miss any time. I started training in the winter. I was working out in the basement while she was sleeping beside us in a little rocking chair, and I just wanted to keep pushing forward and staying healthy and try to maintain who I am, because I think that was very important for my mental health and very important for my physical. And dirt biking has always been such a strong passion for me that I didn't want to lose that, even being a mother. I wanted to really hang on to that and be able to do it all. I figured why choose just one or the other? I want to do both. And I have a very supportive partner, thankfully. So he was really pushing me, and we're working out together, even though he never worked out before. It's like, let's do this and let's push ourselves. And I decided I was going to race as many Future West rounds as I could, which is our BC Interior Series. Okay. And I also decided right off the get-go to race Women's Nationals again. So I hadn't done that in quite a few years, and I decided, why not do it this year, I guess, challenge myself, and really, it was an amazing experience. It was camping out at the track for a whole week, doing amateur rounds, and then coming up to the pro national rounds. So it was about 4 or 5 days of racing and camping and having a little 5-month baby there. So It was quite the experience.
Wow. So doing all of that, raising a little one, like 5 months is, pretty young. And for you to be racing, like, that is amazing. That's incredible and so inspiring. Oh my gosh. And how cool that you can like look back at that and just be like, yeah, I did that. I didn't let, motherhood is beautiful, but I didn't let that stop me. You know, I didn't let that stop from what I'm truly passionate about. And how cool is it that she gets to be there with you, you know, like you can travel to all of these events and stuff, and she's right there. It's not like you have to, you know, travel abroad or, you know, go across the country without her. Maybe you have, but I just think like from the get-go, she's been there from day one.
Yeah.
And like you said, even the inspiration, you're like, I just had a baby, but this is what I'm doing. Like, there's no question about it.
No, it was so healthy for me, and she's such an easygoing kid. She's just there for it all. So I think me putting the work in to do that makes it an easier job in the long run, because she loves it just as much as we do right now. And, you know, like we faced so many challenges that first couple weekends of racing too. It was pouring down rain. There was bike failures. My bike ended up blowing up on me, so I had a DNF in one of my motos. I went into the women's rounds riding a borrowed bike with duct tape number plates and never even rode the dirt bike before. I was practicing starts in the field before going out there, and I managed to, my goal was to hit top 15 because I've been in the top 10 years prior. So my goal realistically was a top 15 finish out of 40 girls on the gate, and I accomplished the top 15 on a borrowed bike. So I was very excited about that when I came off the track, I had my daughter placed into my hands and my family was there with me, and I just couldn't help but have tears, just so many happy tears, because it was so rewarding.
Oh, I have like even chills from that. Like, yes, that is. And I think that's what it's all about. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just see. So you're racing, you're back into it. I'm curious, what does your season look like now? Like we're getting into, has Future West started yet?
Yeah, we've done 3 rounds so far. So we started off with our first Kamloops round. We've been trying to have rounds down in the Lower Mainland, but it's been so early in the spring that most of the time it gets rained out. So we keep trying to get more races involved in the Lower Mainland. But as of this year, we started off our first round in Kamloops, and then we went to Quesnel, so super sandy track, and I haven't raced there in probably 15 years, so that was very challenging, but also a great experience. And then our third round that we did was in Kelowna, so that round went really well and was quite different from previous years because there was a big wildfire that went through there last year and really changed the dirt.
Okay.
So that was quite different as well. So different challenges with different tracks and different environment kind of going on. Mm-hmm. So we've made it through the first 3 rounds, and then our next round will be in Pemberton next weekend.
Oh, is it really next weekend?
It's already coming up next weekend.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm so out of the loop. Oh, that's amazing. I'll have to come. I don't think I have any plans, so I'll have to come and cheer you on.
Oh, that would be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah, how awesome. Okay, and then, so you're going to do Pemberton next weekend. Is there any other, I'm sure there are more races, or do they kind of slow down because it gets too hot?
It kind of slows down a little bit. So we take a break in July and August, which has kind of been the trend the last couple of years. It gets so hot and the wildfires. So we take July and August off, and then we'll start back up. So we end up going to Revelstoke. We'll have a Williams Lake round as well. And I think we do another Kamloops round and maybe another Kelowna round as well. But maybe it's just one more Kamloops round.
Okay.
So overall, I think there's probably about 8 or 9 rounds for the Future West Series.
And this is going to sound like a silly question, but is there a place where we can go and see the schedule? Probably on their website?
Yeah, if you go onto the Future West website, they'll have the schedule on there. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll even post that on the video for YouTube, so if people are watching, they can see the schedule. Yeah, okay, awesome. So tell us the process of what you do to get mentally prepared for a race day. Do you have like a pre or a post ritual per se?
So for pre-ritual, I would just say trying to stay very hydrated. I'm normally working up until the rounds and trying to practice during the week, a few days a week. So hydration is key. Just lots of water and trying to have BioSteel as well, just to get extra electrolytes. Obviously getting lots of rest and just trying to maybe take a couple days off prior of all our training and mountain biking and that, or just do some light workouts and maybe some hikes. And just making sure the bike is ready too. It takes a lot to get the bike ready and make sure you have all your proper tools and your gear's all ready to go and the trailer's set up, and lots of preparing that way, just making sure that you have all that. And usually on the Fridays prior to the races, we have to show up quite early because depending on the location, there's not a whole lot of parking options. So we're generally starting off Friday and prepping. As for mental preparation, I do a lot of mental visualization. So I will lay in my bed before I go to sleep, and I will visualize the track that I'm about to race on, and I'll do all the turns and the jumps and just visualize the course and memorize it and kind of set the tone for my speed and line choices and those different options. So just basically setting out the course in my mind. And then right when I'm on the gate as well, I will usually close my eyes and also do some deep breathing, just kind of visualize the track as well, visualize my start. And if I have time, I'll go through the course at that time as well.
Right. Yes. I guess like the lineup before the gate drops, definitely a deep breathing for sure. Hey,
it can be very nerve-wracking. It's just trying to almost turn everything off around you, visualize. It's such a mental game. It's probably 70 or 80% mental. Once you've done all your physical preparation, now it's just that you can go into the first corner and you could go down and blow it all. So I think it's a lot of mental strength. And I think over the years that has gotten stronger for me just through experience and finding these different tools to help me harness that visualization and just seeing what I want to happen rather than thinking oh, what if I crash? Or what if this happens? You know, there's so many different factors that will go into your race. And I just try to shut all that off and just have positive reflection. And as for post, I would just say just relaxing. And, you know, it's so turned on and so intense and so stimulating, and there's so much emotion in it. So I guess after I'm done the race, I tend to just relax and spend time with my family and just reflect back on the race and try to take notes on maybe where I could improve and also some strong points in the race. And hopefully I've achieved my goals in that moto and kind of reset for the next race.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, I love it. So good. It sounds like, yeah, you have like a very organized pre and post rituals. You get into the Zen mode. And I think you're right. It takes practice, and you've been doing this for a very long time. So you have the systems and the tools to calm the nerves.
Yes. Sometimes it can be very challenging because there's just so much to it. So I think the other part of that is, yes, I'm going into Zen mode, but I'm also, sometimes our motos are so late in the day that I'm not racing until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I find that is also very mentally challenging because you're going from your practice at 8:30 in the morning, and now you haven't rode the course for 6 or 7 hours. So much has changed. So I think it's very helpful to be watching pro races or maybe even the intermediates and see what they're making for line choices, and, you know, trying to kind of figure out where the lines are forming, where there's holes in the course, where there's rocks or mud or, you know, something that could hold you back when you go out there because you don't get a sight lap. You're on the line and it's been 7 hours. You know, so for myself, I find it very challenging to feel adrenaline and to get very stoked for my race too. So I'm trying to find the Zen, but also a balance of being stoked and getting enough, you know, riled up enough to have the excitement and the endurance to get through the motos as well, without just being cruising around. You know, I have to have a lot of built up energy somewhere in there that I have to pull out. And if you've been sitting around and it's super hot out, you get tired.
Yeah.
Just watching.
You make such a great point because, I didn't think about, you could have a 7-hour, 8-hour delay, like from your practice run. And you mentioned it, that things can change so much from that practice run within 8 hours or 7 hours. And so, watching, I'm sure helps, just checking out, seeing what other people, their lines are, what lines they're choosing, and if there are any holes or any, like maybe even the ruts. I always find ruts the scariest. Like what's forming out there.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's all great tips. I feel like a lot of us could take a lot from that, you know? Next question. Any struggles that you are currently facing when it comes to riding?
So I think it's just the overall balance of life. Like I hold a job where I'm thankful I can just be part-time right now. I'm also a mother, so that just takes a lot of your energy and time as well. So it's finding the balance of working, being a mom, running the household, you know, making sure all your meals are prepped, and just the whole package of getting out to the track and making sure that you're training. And, you know, every single day there is so much to do. You need to stay on top of proper eating and your training and actually getting time on the track, not just doing other things like mountain biking and hiking. You actually need to be racing or riding. So, those are kind of the struggles, that is just finding that balance. I don't know if I'll ever find perfect balance because every day is a different day, but, just trying to get through some kind of flow so that I feel confident when I get to race weekend, so that I can put out the results that I want. The other struggles obviously are injuries. So I'm very thankful that in my 17 or 16 years of riding and racing, I've had very minimal injuries. And last summer I mentioned that I tore ligaments in my left knee. So that tends to hold me back. Like even still when I was racing this spring in Quesnel, my knee blew out on me again. So I had to keep pushing through, and I ended up crashing shortly after and then having to get back up and try to charge through the pack. But so that does hold me back, is a lagging knee injury that I keep getting assessed, and it's not quite bad enough to do surgery on. So that's why I'm looking down the road of knee protection and knee support, so that maybe I can hopefully prevent it blowing out on me. It doesn't take much. Sometimes it's just a dab in a corner. Sometimes it's even swinging the bike up onto the stand and it will pop out on me. So I keep pushing through that injury. I think my mind is stronger than the pain. So I just keep going. And then in 2020, when I was riding lots, I ended up, I was riding every single day and maybe I was burning myself out, but I ended up casing a jump and I broke my right fibula. So I ended up being in an air cast. Again, it could have been a way worse injury. I'm very grateful that I healed, and that one doesn't bother me at all. So those are kind of the struggles, that sometimes things will pop up and flare up and it's there, and you mentally have to keep pushing through, or you have to get it addressed sooner than later. So those are kind of the struggles that I'm always kind of working through.
Right. Yeah. Actually, that was my next question. Any setbacks, like injuries that you had to overcome? So, yeah, you answered them, but
thankfully they're minimal. I'm very grateful that they're minimal, because it is a very dangerous sport, and you have to be willing to accept that there is that risk. And I think that's why our gear choice is very important. And I think just getting the proper skills on the bike too. Like, as for myself, I feel like I've started off with pretty good foundations growing up, and then leading me into my 30s. And, I hope to be that old lady who's 70 still riding a dirt bike and motorcycles. So I want that longevity. And I think if you get the proper skills right from the get-go, it's less breaking bad habits and just working on good foundation skills that prevent injury and have you riding the bike for longer.
You nailed it. Have you seen that photo of like the grannies? I think it's an AI generated photo, but I often look at that, or it pops up. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, it's so inspiring. I would love to be that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, actually, because you're talking about foundation, I think this is the perfect time to roll into what it's like to be coached by you.
So I'm honestly kind of new to the whole coaching thing as for putting on clinics. Like my first clinic was with you in 2021, which was amazing. I feel so honored to be able to give back to the sport, because like I mentioned, if I've been in it for 15, 16, 17 years kind of thing, it's quite shocking when I put a number on it like that. But like I just mentioned, over the years, I haven't had much for injuries, but I still provide decent results with top 3 or top 5 finishes in BC. And I've always been kind of in that club where I've been a podium contender for so many years. I've got second places. I've won first a few times and thirds, and, kind of always right on that bubble of getting podiums. And I think having just even the skill set from Jess as well, that's really helped me. I'm always picking his brain and asking him certain, bike technique and style and proper etiquette, and there's just so much that goes into it. So I think right now is the perfect time for me to start kind of helping the community around me. I've built so many great relationships. So many people in BC and probably Canada-wide knows our family name quite well just through Jess and our family. We've had quite the presence. So I think I would love to help specifically women and young girls and moms. I would love to inspire moms to still keep riding and set the example for your children, show them what hard work can do for you, and that it's not easy, but you stick to your passion and you'll have lifelong fulfillment, because it's just something that the desire never goes away. And that's kind of my approach with my clinics, is I want to get girls together. I don't care the age, whether they're young girls. I would love to help you whether you're older and just want to stay on your bike and you want to have proper technique, proper etiquette. There's so much to even getting out on the track that's very nerve-wracking when the pros are out there, or there's intermediate riders and you show up for practice day and you need to get out on the track, but you need to be safe and not get in people's way and cause accidents. So I think with that approach, it's just helpful to know those foundations so that you feel more confident on the bike. You know, the nerves kind of go away. You can focus on your skills and just build off of them. So I think the whole clinic thing is also kind of a niche market for women. And I've never done a clinic with women before, and I would have loved to have been trained by, you know, a local woman racer that has done well in her career. And I would really look up to gaining some skills and knowledge over that period of time where they are racing and just getting that knowledge. So I would love to be able to give that back to our community.
Yeah, there's something that there's something about it where you have that, like almost like a role model, somebody you can look up to, like almost like a mentor figure, somebody that you can relate to, and just like, and not that I just find I relate more to women, you know, like just, yeah, I think most of us do. And so having a woman coach, it's such a beautiful way of connection, and just seeing that woman rider coach do the thing that I'm trying to learn. And it's just, yeah, it's inspiring. It opens up so much more. And so when you were growing up, I guess you didn't have that. Was there any women racing at that time?
There was some women racing, like the girls were my age, or maybe even a little bit younger, but there was no mom out there racing. Right. You know, the moms took care of the meals for usually the son that was racing, and the dad did the mechanicals. Yeah. And, you know, it's very challenging to have the mother racing, the father racing, and the kid racing. Right. Like, even now, you go to the Future West rounds, and it's very family-oriented. It's mostly for the amateur kids growing up. Yeah. And you don't see moms out there. There's me and one other mom. And we really connect because it is challenging. Yeah. She has 3 boys that are all over the place. Right. But they're in the dirt. They're out there racing. They're loving it. Yeah. And her husband races. My husband races. Okay. It's a lot to balance, but it's very admirable. And I want to inspire other young girls or in their 20s, you know, kind of when they're in their prime racing, whether it's women nationals or amateur rounds, that you can continue on. You know, life doesn't stop when you have kids. I think that's when it should really keep going more than anything, because like I've mentioned, it's such a family oriented sport. And I think it's admirable, even if I were to look up to my mother riding dirt bikes when I was a kid. And I remember her taking on challenges for herself. Like, she did a fitness program, and I remember her having a 6-pack and huge biceps when I was probably 10 years old. And I thought, holy crap, that is so cool that my mom has accomplished that. Yeah. You know, it makes you go, I want to do what she's doing. Totally. You know, she's putting in the hard work. You see the hours on the treadmill and the meals, the gross healthy meals that she's eating, you know? Yeah. And I wanted to do that for my kids too, and just show them that the hard work and testing yourself, just see what you can achieve. 100%. And I met another mom racer a couple weekends ago in Kelowna, and she's got a little daughter out there too, and her husband are racing. And, you know, we really connect because it is not easy, but it is doable, and it's just so rewarding. And then on the flip side of that, if you have daughters that are coming into the sport, it's just growing and growing and growing. Like the little Turcotte girl, she's maybe 7 or 8 years old, and she's out at the track with us, and she's out there giving her with the boys. And I think that is just the coolest thing. And she's doing the Supercross KTM challenge, you know? So Hudson's out there, and it doesn't matter. You race girls, boys, but the whole idea of the girls expanding and, you know, going from me racing with 4 girls on the starting gate when I was 15, and now there's 40, yes, it's intimidating, but it's also maybe less intimidating because there's other girls that are in the same boat as you. Yes. You're not alone out there. You don't have to race the boys. You know, there's so many girls that we have our own class and our own competition, and it's just going to keep growing. It's very exciting.
It is so exciting, and I can feel like your passion. I sense it. I feel it, and I know everyone else that's listening in that they can really feel that too. And I think with women that are getting into motocross, you know, the track's intimidating, the fast riders are intimidating. There's so much there, but yeah, like you said, when you can start meeting those women that are like-minded, share the same passion, then it becomes a place, like almost a safe place. It's like we're still challenging each other. We're still getting out of our comfort zone, but we're doing this collectively together. You know?
Definitely. Yeah. I love that. And I think we should be supporting each other because it's not easy whether you're a man or a woman. You know, you face your own challenges. And I think if you can support one another, and I have so many awesome guy friends that I grew up racing with that I'm still amazing friends with, because those are just the experiences we shared together growing up as kids, trying to figure out who you are and where you're going. And I think through all of the hardships in your life of your late teens and going into your 20s, if you hang on to something that you love, and for us it's dirt biking, then you just always have that outlet too, because the rest of life can be very challenging and really test you. And for example, I sold everything I owned when I went to dental hygiene school in Nanaimo, except for my dirt bike. I didn't even have a vehicle. I rode a bike to school. I walked to school, but I kept my dirt bike because for me, that is my happy place. And, you know, you're in a very stressful environment and you just hop on your bike and all the issues go away because you have to be so focused on what you're doing in that present time. And I think that's just amazing. And if women have that feeling, you know, we're getting ladies rides together more frequently, and we're getting groups that are sponsoring us, and, you know, even mountain biking free rides, you know, women are having pro competitions now and getting support. So I think it's very inspiring. I've grown up racing top female pro racers like my friend Camille Baker that lives in Nanaimo, and I always looked up to her. And then I've been racing with her, and, you know, we're sometimes in similar speed categories. She's always been a little faster than me, but I'm always chasing that. And she opened big doors for women's sports in moto, and just getting more sponsorship monies for the lady pro purse, and, you know, different swag and events going on. And I really admire that, and I want to keep that ball rolling.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. It's all so inspiring, and it makes me even want to get back into motocross too. I was into motocross, and then I just felt like I didn't have the bike because I have an enduro bike, and I was like, there's something wrong with my bike, but really it was just my whole mentality. But you know, I wanted to mention this to you. When we did that clinic, I believe it was 2020 or 2021, at Green River, Pemberton. I can't remember how many girls. I want to say there was 15. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think there was about 15. I think 18 signed up, and then a couple of them couldn't make it at the end there. So it was about 15,
15. But I just remember like watching, because I did the photos and the videos, and I just remember watching every single woman, like they were very scared. They were intimidated, right? And then you came up with this soft approach, and all of these girls, literally by the end of the coaching session, they were all like jumping higher. Most of them, I think, were making it to the other side of the tabletop, you know, like they were making the landing or whatever the tranny is. Is that what you call it?
The landing.
Okay, the landing. But you know, it was incredible, you know, like just a couple hours with your points, giving them those skills and those tools and showing them like how to do things. It is so valuable. I say this all the time, like take the clinics, take the coaching, because you're going to learn so much within that time. And like I said, those girls are sending it.
Oh yeah. I remember at the beginning of the clinics assessing the skill levels and trying to get a gauge of where everybody's at. You know, there might be some that are even faster than myself, I'm not sure. Or, you know, but they're still looking to see what kind of techniques I'm using that they can gain. Like you could never not learn enough. And, you know, the skill levels were, it was so amazing to see where they started because I remember asking them, okay, what do you want to get out of this clinic? What is your main goals? And a lot of them said they wanted to do the little double in the back. And I thought, okay, let's see where the skill levels are at. And we need to really focus on our corner speed prior to going into the jumps and making sure we can clear them properly and safely. So I think just even working on that corner speed, it gave them huge confidence and speed to be starting to clear those tabletops that now transition to clearing a double because it is more intimidating to clear doubles. And, you know, maybe you can move into triples after that. It just keeps growing beyond that. But I remember when I was learning with the dirt bike, you can hit tabletops all day long because you just keep launching further and further and further. And before you know it, you're just grabbing a little more mitt full of throttle and having a clean transition. And it's way smoother on the other end. So it's very exciting and very addicting when you get that feeling because now you're actually progressing and you can progress fairly quickly given the proper tools or maybe just a couple adjustments here and there because you can't see what your body positioning is doing. But if someone sits back and watches you and they say, hey, I noticed you're doing this, or hey, maybe try that, and it starts to click for you, it's a very addicting feeling and it makes you want to keep progressing and it works.
Feedback is key. Yes. Well, I am so excited that you're coming back, that you're going to be coaching again. Oh my gosh. I just remember I got so much feedback and I know you did too, saying that they really did appreciate you. They, you know, just even, I think you gave them, all the girls, like a little written thing of like what you were going to break. Like I remember my friend Steph, she's like, oh my gosh, she like wrote this out and this is amazing. I get to take it home with me and actually like apply everything that we learned, you know? And so, I'm just so excited that we're doing this again. It's July 13th. It's a Saturday. We start at 5 p.m., but be ready, you know, try to arrive at 4:30. If you guys want to, if you're listening in, if you want to sign up for this clinic, we will leave a link on the show notes and you guys sign up. I'm so excited. I am very excited for this day.
I'm very excited. Thank you so much for inviting me back. And I'm excited to meet, you know, whether it's people coming back for a second round or if it's new riders. I'm very excited to see where we grow and just assess the skills and we'll just keep growing and getting faster. And at the end of the day, we're all going to have so much fun together. So it'll be a great day.
Absolutely. And for those that are listening in, I know we have it on the poster, but can anyone take this clinic?
Yep. Anyone can take the clinic. Okay. It doesn't matter age or skill level. Everybody's welcome. If you feel like you could learn a little bit, or if you just even want to have somebody assess your riding and give you some tips, then it's a great place for any female rider. Doesn't matter age or skill level.
Amazing. And also, I want to ask, are you doing any other clinics this summer?
Actually, since we mentioned the Pemberton Green River Clinic, I did get a woman reaching out to me wanting to do a clinic in Revelstoke. So I don't have dates set for that yet, but I'm also very thrilled about that. It's a great race course as well, and I think that's a very growing community. There's lots of enduro riders I find that want to learn moto skills, so I feel like that really helps your overall skills on the bike, and it can translate. So it's kind of exciting going from enduro skills and enduro bike. You can definitely still come on the track with your enduro bike. It's going to be a little softer suspension, which is totally fine. But that's kind of the same approach that's happening in Revelstoke as well. I feel like it'll be a lot of off-road riders that want to learn a few more skills on the moto track, since the whole trail network is attached to the motocross track. So whenever they go out and ride, the motocross track's right there. You know, you're kind of wondering, what do I even do over there? Right. I want to build my skills, so I'll be there to help any riders that want some help with that as well. And aside from those are my clinics that I'm planning this year, I would love to keep continuing on as long as people invite me and there's the interest there, I'll keep the ball rolling and I'll keep racing and riding and improving my skill set to help everybody else. And I just want to start doing more ladies rides out at our Whispering Pines track here in Kamloops as well. Okay. And invite any lady riders. I'll be putting posts out letting you know dates for that as well. I plan to do one at the end of July. So there'll be prizes and there'll be hard charger awards and, you know, the youngest little ripper award, and just get the girls out and have some snacks and drinks and get the girls together and have fun with just the girls on the course. You don't have to worry about any guys going flying by you, and we'll just help each other build our skills.
Amazing. That's what it's all about. Oh, I'm so excited. Sounds like you have a lot on the go. So that's, super exciting. Okay. I'm going to also, before we dive into all that, I'll leave your social handle and all that so people can reach out to you if you are doing the events, or if you have a poster in time by this, when the podcast comes out, I can obviously put that stuff on the video and all that stuff. But I'm curious, if you were to whisper in the ear of young Danielle, what would you tell her?
I honestly feel like I would tell her to just keep riding and following your passion. And I'm very proud of myself because I kind of followed the route exactly the way I wanted to do it. In my 20s, I kept with my bike no matter what was coming at me. I always had that to fall back on. And if I could whisper in my ear, I would tell myself to just keep going and stay consistent and stay connected in the sport. Don't stay too far from that moto family, because those are people that you'll carry through your whole life and will help support you, and they'll always be there for you. You can show up at the track all by yourself and you still have a whole family around you and people that take care of you if you need their help or you get hurt, or no matter if you're down and out, you will always have those people. So I think if I were to keep whispering, I would say keep going, keep staying true to yourself, and follow your passions and keep growing. And don't be too intimidated. You just have to get out there and try. Yeah.
Oh, love it. Love it. Okay. And then any advice for women who are thinking about racing in motocross?
I would say, kind of like you mentioned, sometimes clinics can help just to build a little bit of confidence, see where you need to be on the bike and on the track. It's kind of sets a good ground rule for you just to set the pace and make sure that you're not just out there wondering, where am I supposed to be? What am I going to do here? There is people to help you. Reach out a little bit. But just give it a go. Get out there and try. Don't be too afraid that, oh, I don't have this or I don't have that, or, try not to compare too much. I think just show up and ask questions and chat with people. And there's so many people that are going to help you. And I think in order for the sport to keep growing, we just all have to be there for each other and just try. That's all you have to do, is show up and try and be proud of yourself. And, your first day on the track, you're only going to grow from there. So you just have to get out there.
Amazing. Something I also wanted to bring up from from your clinic a couple years ago is a lot of the women that did attend. I remember you mentioned something about just try racing. You can try it, you don't have to do it forever. Again, I want to say out of the 15 girls, there was at least 8 women that started racing from that clinic.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
That makes me really happy. Yeah. And I actually took a look at that and I noticed there was way more gates full in the women's rounds later that year. So that's super awesome. Yeah. And that just makes me so happy that they found the confidence to go and try and get yourself out there. Just expose yourself a little bit. You still can hide under your helmet. Just get out there and that's so amazing that it had that effect on people.
Yeah, 100%. Very exciting. A quote you live by?
Kind of, I guess, comes full circle, but a quote I would say I live by is just try your best. Mm-hmm. No matter what, if you gave it your all today might not be the same as your all that you're giving it tomorrow, but as long as that day you're trying your absolute best, then that's all you can do, and you can walk away with fulfillment. If you're not giving it 100% or 90%, then it's hard to be super proud of yourself. So I think if you just go out and try your best, put everything out there, and obviously not too much where you're going to hurt yourself or anything, but just give it your all, and you will feel very proud of yourself and a lot of fulfillment.
Absolutely. So exciting. Love it. And I'm just curious, what's on your bucket list? Side note.
So that's a big question because it could be short term, it could be long term, I suppose.
Right.
But for my bucket list for racing and riding this year, I want to finish out the Future West Moto Series, and I think realistically a podium is right in my grasp. I was battling for third last year and having some really amazing battles, and I keep getting into that third position. I'm getting good starts, so I want to maintain that momentum, and I want to hit the podium. There's some very competitive young girls out there, and it's so amazing to be banging bars with them, and our motos are just so exciting to watch. It's one of the most exciting motos to watch.
Right.
A lot of the men are saying that, the ladies class isn't such a snoozer anymore. It's like, holy, these girls actually have a lot of talent and they're willing to put it all out there. And it's so awesome to see. And so my goals would be to stay up in the club with the top 3 girls or top 4 or 5 girls, and keep pushing each other. And I didn't unfortunately get to race any of the national rounds because they haven't had any in BC this year.
Okay.
So next year, hopefully it comes back to BC, and I would love to keep continuing on with doing some of the West Women's National rounds. And my goal there is probably still top 15, top 10. If I could break a top 10, that would be incredible. Mm-hmm. And I think that is just right within my reach. So those are my goals and on my bucket list for this year.
Ooh, very exciting. Well, I'm excited to follow along on your journey on social media. That's so exciting. And I love that. I love that you have some goals that you're working towards. I think everyone needs to have goals that they're passionate about. Okay. Where can we find you on socials?
I'm Danielle Pettis 891 on Instagram, and I mostly use Instagram. I don't really use Facebook a whole lot, but you can always add me on Facebook if you want to. It's Danielle Lauren. And yeah, I'd be more than willing to answer any questions, or you'll be able to figure out where my clinics are and the dates, and if you want to come join, or even if you just want to come out for a ladies ride and have fun and ride some dirt bikes.
Yeah, perfect. And that's just it. It's like, just attend either a clinic or a social ride. You're going to gain so much from it, not just value, but the stokeness and the environment, the vibe, all of it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much for all of this. I just think we are taking so much tips and advice. There's so much value in this episode, and I just appreciate you coming here and telling us more about you, what you're up to, what your goals are. Oh, it's been such a lovely, lovely chat.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I'm super excited to come meet everybody at Green River, and we'll keep the ball rolling.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, I do have a rapid fire 5 questions that you got to answer.
Okay.
Okay. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, corners or jumps?
Jumps.
4-stroke or 2-stroke?
4.
Wet and soupy track or dry and dusty?
Wet and soupy.
Okay. Weekend warrior or weekday slayer?
Weekend warrior.
Okay. And then this one, it's a little bit of a longer answer, but best motocross track you've been at and why?
I would say Terrace, BC. I haven't rode there since I was probably about 18, but for anyone that's ever been to the Terrace track, it is an absolute beautiful track, wide open, awesome dirt, tons of parking. It'd be a great place to host a national that we've been trying for quite a long time, but it's just so far out west. You have to go to Prince George and then drive another 7 hours west. So it's a bit of a haul to get out there, but if you ever get a chance, it's a beautiful track.
Wow. Amazing. Well, thanks for sharing. I would not have thought that.
No. Curveball.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you again. This has been so much fun. I loved every single bit of our conversations. And yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in today's show. Please rate and review this podcast. I would forever be thankful and grateful. Share it with your friends, family, and whoever you feel would enjoy these types of conversations in the dirt bike, snowmobile, and motorsports community. If you are looking to support the show, I do have a few affiliate links in the show notes. And if you're looking for some confidence in the digital space, learning how to brand yourself, edit your epic sends, and just being the vibe, being your true self, your authentic self, shoot me a message. You can reach me over on my website, angelisaedwards.com. And as always, I am rooting for you, and keep killing it safely, and I'll see you next week.